All right, Rabbi, say good morning. Let's begin by thanking our sponsors for this morning's daf. We thank our Talmud Torah sponsors for the. We thank our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Iyar, Menachem and Susie Schoenfeld, for dedicating the Shiurim this month in the Zchus of the Neshamas of their grandparents, Moshe ben Shimon Lev Halevi, Sarlea Bas Dov Ber, Menachem Mendel ben Dov Ber, Sarayita Bas Yaakov Sender, Noach ben Avram, Fega Bas Meir, David Shimon ben Yisrael, and Sarah Bas Yaakov. We thank our Week of Learning sponsors, Greg and Rachel Levitan, who dedicated the Shurim this week with the plea to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to reopen our shuls, and the zuchus that when we return to shul, we daven with greater kavana and appreciation and refrain from conversation in shul. We thank our, just jumping back and forth here, I apologize. We thank our Daf Yomi, also our day of sponsor learning today, Mendy and Suri Isakovic from Brooklyn, New York, for dedicating the learning today in memory of Mendy's mother, Chayesima Bas Chaim Ezra Zichron Livracha, and Lester and Lily Ward for dedicating the day of learning today in memory of their parents. We thank our Daf Yomi sponsors today, Moshe and Risa Margulies, in memory of Moshe's grandfather, David Jacobs, David ben Shmuel Naftali Zichron Livracha. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, the Neshama will have an aliyah and the family a nechama. And I will say with that, let us begin. So we are picking up today, a lot to do today, Baruch Hashem. A lot to do today. We are picking up on today's daf is Samech Beis 62, and we are picking up on Samech Aleph Amud Beis 61b, and we are picking up. We left off with the interesting question about whether or not the kameah has kiddush or not. Does the amulet that we're discussing have holiness or not? And again, the Gemara was asking this question specifically Lagabe, the ability to wear the amulet into the bathroom. So the Gemara says, we're picking up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines up from the bottom on 61b. So Tashma, remember again, we learned before that on Shabbos one cannot go out with an amulet that's not made by an expert. But the inference from that is that if it is made by an expert, you could go out with it. And if you say that an amulet possesses holiness, Zimnin de mitzarch lebeis hakisei, v'asila asein hu dal amas b'shus harabim. And if you say that a kameah, that an amulet does have kedusha, then what may occur? What may occur is a person will be wearing it out, will have to go into the bathroom, and will end up going in and taking it off and potentially carrying it. To which the Gemara says, no. Hachamay askinon. What is that price? It's talking about bikameah shel ikrin. That's talking about ultimately again a kameah amulet made of herbs. So if it's an amulet made of herbs, then halacha l'maisa, there's no problem to wear it into the bathroom. But the Brisa said you could wear out either a kameah made of herbs or one a written kameah. What's the case? We're talking about again the chola in question over here is a chola sheish b'sakana, someone who is ill to the point of mortal danger. So we'll say such a person like that would be permitted even to go ahead and wear a kameah inside of the bathroom. So the Gemara goes right to the Gemara says. So the Gemara says. Good Elakevan. So the Gemara says, but it says Vatanya Echad Chodesh Yesh Bo Sakana, Vechad Chodesh Shem Bo Sakana. But it says that this halacha applies whether we're talking about a chola who has sakana, a chola doesn't have sakana. Elakevan Demasi Afagav Dinokit Le Biadei Nami Shapir Dami. So also the Gemara says rather, since halacha lamaisa, the kameah is there for healing purposes. So remember again, whether the person wears the kameah or ultimately carries the kameah, either way, once the kameah is there, it's providing its healing. So the Gemara actually suggests that maybe there's a possibility that even if a person carries the kameah, it's not going to be problematic on Shabbos. In other words, since the goal of this is to have the kameah by me, so whether I'm wearing it or carrying it, it has the din of a tachshit. To which the Gemara says, top of Samech Beis, that's not true. V'hatanya, Rabbi Oshia Omer, Ubilvach le'yachsan, Abiyad v'avreinu, arba abim z'shus rabim. Rabbi Oshia says quite explicitly that halacha l'maisa, that halacha lemaisa, ultimately, again, you cannot carry it in your hand. You cannot carry it in your, as long as you don't carry the kamiyah in your hand for dalar amas and rosh hashanah. To which the Gemara says, halacha mayaskinu, what's the case here? B'mechuba or. We're talking about a kamiyah that's covered in leather. So the idea over here is we're going back to what we said before. We're talking about a kamiyah that's written with psukim or with names of Hashem, and therefore on a technical level, it should be a problem to walk in with that kamiyah into the bathroom. So there's a simple suggestion. What are we talking about? Ultimately, again, it's in a leather pouch. It's covered with leather. So therefore, such a kamiyah like that, even if in fact it does have the names of Hashem, or even if it does possess some Kedusha, since it is covered, you could walk in with it into the bathroom. Right? Since the kameh is in a leather pouch, you could walk in with it into the bathroom. The Gemara says, V'hari tefillin, the mechupa are, but yet, what about tefillin? So remember again, the parashos and tefillin are also covered by leather, right? What leather are the parashos of tefillin covered by? They're covered by the batim, right? The boxes of the leather itself are leather, right? The boxes of the tefillin themselves are made of leather, and they cover the parashos. And yet, v'tanya, hanichnas lebeis hakisei cholis tefillin berichuk dalaramis, v'nichnas. But we learned that if you're wearing tefillin and then you enter into the Beis HaKisei, you must take off your tefillin. So you see over here, even though the parashos of the tefillin are technically covered by leather, you still can't wear it into the bathroom. So we'll say it's interesting. The Gemara right now is looking at the bias, at the backs of the tefillin, as a leather covering for the parashos. So you just told me before that as long as the kamiyah is covered by leather, it's in a leather pouch, you can walk into the bathroom with it, even if it has the name of God or psukim, and yet tefillin, which are parshos covered by a leather box, you cannot walk into the bathroom with them. To which the Gemara says a very simple distinction. Hasa mishum shin, dam rabayi shin shel tefillin halacha lamoshe misinai. The difference we'll say is that by tefillin, the bias has a big shin on the side of it. That shin, by definition, also has kedusha, because that shin, especially that one has four, the different types of shins on the tefillin, that is a halacha l'Moshe misinai. That is a Sinaitic law. So because that shin is on the outside of the tefillin, ultimately, again, that gives the bias kedusha as well, and therefore the bias is not considered simply a cover for the parshios. The bias itself has kedusha, and therefore you cannot walk into the bathroom with the bias. So the Gemara says, "Amra Abaye dalid shel tefillin halacha Moshe misinai." So the Gemara says, for example, the Gemara says, Abaye also says the dalid of the tefillin. That's referring to the knot on the back of the shalrosh. That is also a halacha Moshe misinai. Varma Abaye yud shel tefillin halacha Moshe misinai. Both say the yud that refers to the kasher, to the knot that we have up by the shel yad. That knot is fashioned in the form of a yud. So Abaye is telling us all of these things: the shin on the shel rosh, the dalet knot on the back of the shel yad, the yud on the knot of the shel yad. All of that ultimately, again, is a halacha l'Moshe misinai. So as we'll say, so bottom line, what the Gemara comes out with is the kamea does have some level of kedusha, it does have some level of holiness, and therefore halacha l'maisa, if one is wearing a kamea that is made of psukim or names of Hashem, one cannot simply wear it exposed into the bathroom, but rather one would have to cover it before entering into the bathroom. Beautiful. The Gemara says, "V'lo b'shir and v'lo b'kasa v'lo magafayim." So remember again, the Mishnah ended off by talking about these other items which cannot be worn into the bath, which cannot be worn on Shabbos. Cannot be worn on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, "Shiryon." What's shiryon? Zarda. So we'll say Zarda gives a last word. So shiryon is a coat of armor, or really better, a coat of mail. You can't wear this out on Shabbos. Kasta amarav sanuarta, so or sanvarta. So what's this is? Look at Rashi, kova or tachas kova hamatachas. This was like a leather cap that they used to wear underneath a helmet. And lastly, magafayim amarav pazmiki. Pazmiki Rashi says ampilios shal barzel b'milchama. So literally, ampilios literally means like slippers. But these are more than slippers. These were like pants. So these were the type of pants, ultimately, again, also made of metal, like type of like shin guards. We'll say the common denominator of all of these things, the coat of mail, the helmet, and the shin guards, all of this ultimately were items that people wore out to battle. We're out to battle. So therefore, the concern is that halacha l'maisa, if a person wears this on Shabbos, it looks like they're going out to battle. Now again, remember, going to war on Shabbos can be permitted under certain circumstances, but halacha l'maisa, we don't wear these on Shabbos because generally they don't have a Shabbos use. But you should just know in general, this Gemara, this piece happens to be part of a very interesting halachic question, which is a very much a contemporary question about, let's say, is one permitted to carry a gun on Shabbos? Permitted to carry a gun on Shabbos. So this sugya is this Gemara over here about wearing items that are related to battle on Shabbos. It centers a lot around this. So the Gemara here clearly says that even though these items are quote unquote garments, because they're garments ultimately related to battle, so halacha l'maisa we don't wear it on Shabbos because it doesn't really have a Shabbos purpose. Now again, obviously this is midrabanan, not midoraisa. So some bring this up in the Shabbos gun discussion as well. Interestingly enough, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach paskins, Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa, that one is permitted to carry a gun on Shabbos, and for a dramatic reason. He says a gun is actually a klisha malachto leheter. See, most assume that a gun is a klisha malachto leisser, because when you shoot it, ultimately, again, you create the havar, you create the kindling. Rav Shlomo Zalman is amazing. He says the entire point of a gun is not to fire it. He says an entire point of a gun is to be a form of prevention. He says when people know that someone's carrying a weapon, so they act in a certain way. It prevents things. So because he says it's a preventative measure, he actually holds fascinatingly enough that it's a klisha malachto leheter and can actually be carried. All right, again, a more complicated topic. But in any event, they're just pointing out that this discussion over here about the wearing of the coat of mail and everything like that comes into that discussion about weapons on Shabbos. So the Mishnah says as follows: Lo seite isha b'mechat hanakuva. A woman can't go out with a needle that has a hole. So let's remember again, in the last Mishnah we spoke about a needle without a hole, which could potentially be used ultimately again as an accessory. This is a needle with a hole. Now a needle with a hole, of course, is used for sewing. So she can't go out with a needle with a hole. She can't go out with a ring that has a seal on it. We spoke about that already. That's because, again, women did not normally wear that kind of ring. And therefore, for a woman to wear that kind of ring, that's not a tachshit, that's not an accessory. Rather, it's only a masui. It is a burden. So the Gemara goes on. It says, velo b'koliyar. She can't go out with a koliyar. We'll define these terms in the Gemara. Velo b'koliyar, velo b'koveles, velo b'tzluchis shal plaiton. So she can't go out with a koliyar. We'll define. She can't go out with a koveles. We'll define. And she can't go out with a flask of plaiton. So we will see plaiton refers to balsam oil, which was very fragrant oil. We'll define what all these things are in the Gemara. And if she goes out on Shabbos with any of these things, she's chayaves achatos, which means Rabbi said that list that we just listed, a needle with a hole, a ring with a signet, with a seal on it, koliyar, koveles, and tzluchis shel plaitin. None of these things are considered to be a tachshit, and therefore, if she wears it out, it is an isser d'oraisa. The Rabbi Meir, the Chum say potrin. The Chum potrin b'koveles or b'tzluchis shel plaitin. The Chum agree with Rabbi Meir in all of the cases, except when it comes to a koveles, which we haven't defined yet, and a flask filled with balsam oil. So let's define. Says the Gemara, Amar Ula. So we'll say the first thing we're going to focus on over here is a discussion regarding the rings. So remember again, the Mishnah said that, remember, in the last Mishnah we learned that if a woman goes out with a ring without a seal, it could potentially be, it is an Isser Derabanan. Because then we're concerned that what? We're concerned that she's going to take off the ring and show it to her friends. In this Mishnah, we're saying that if she goes out with a ring with a seal, that is an Isser Da'oraisa, because that ring doesn't have the status of a tachshit, of an accessory. Therefore, it's called a masui, it's called a burden, and she's carrying an item on Shabbos. So Ula just points out, by the way, that it's the opposite by a man, right? For a man, a ring with a stamp, right, with a chosam, is a tachshit, that is a proper accessory. But a ring without a stamp is not an accessory. Rather, it is a masui, it is a burden. We're both reflecting the idea that in Talmudic times, men did not wear stam rings, right? A man would wear a ring if it had a seal on top of it. But ultimately, again, to wear a ring stam as an accessory, a man did not do. So it's the reverse by men and by women. So the one says, Alma kasavar ula, kol midi di chazili ish lo chazili isha. Umidi the chazili ish lo chazili ish. So Ula must hold that what? That halacha l'mais in general we say, any garment that's fit for a woman, or any tachshit that's fit, any accessory that's fit for a woman is not fit for a man, and any accessory that's fit for a man is not fit for a woman. Is that true? Maser Rav Yosef haroim yotzim bisakin. We'll say first wide line samach beizim dalif. The shepherds go out with their sackcloths, and we'll say Rashi points out over here that ultimately again the shepherds used to wear like a very heavy type of sackcloth. They did this because again it would protect them from the elements. Rain, wind, cold. So therefore, again, now people wouldn't normally wear that garment. That was dafka for the shepherds. So the Gemara says over here, the shepherds could go out with their heavy sackcloth on Shabbos. And it's not just shepherds. Ela kol adam. Ela shedarkon shoroim lotzeis bisakin. But yet, interestingly enough, what does it say? The halach is Rabbi saying, really anyone could wear this sackcloth. It just says that the shepherds do it because it's what the shepherds normally wear. But inachinami, any person would be permitted to go ahead and wear this sackcloth. What do you see from here? You see from here that halacha l'maisa, once something becomes an article of clothing for one person, it becomes an article of clothing for everyone. Once the shepherds wear this, then ultimately what? Everyone could wear it. Amrav Yosef Kasavra Ula. So we'll say, so if that's the case, then why? So then really, if something is an accessory for a woman, then it should be able to be an accessory for a man. Again, specifically in the realm of rings. Obviously, if something is uniquely feminine, then halach lamaisa it's not going to be for a man. But lamaisa there should be some level of overlap. So let's listen to this statement. Amar say Kasavu Ula Nashim Am Bifnei Atzmon Hein. Ula holds women are a nation unto themselves. Right? He says. We will say now, be very careful how you utilize this particular concept. I'm happy that everybody's muted right now. It's good for your own safety that you're muted right now. So I'll say so again. What he's saying is right. Nashim am bifnei atzmanein. So women are not. We'll see what he's saying. What does that mean? What does that mean? So the idea is that obviously that what it means is that whereas in the realm of clothing or accessories, there can be some level of overlap. But lemaisa, what constitutes an accessory for a woman is fundamentally different than what constitutes an accessory for a man. So nashim am bifnei atzman, women are a nation unto themselves, indicates that the havamina was that there should be some level of accessory overlap. Kamash malan, that there really is no accessory overlap. Esvei, the Gemara says, is that true? Esvei Abaye, Habusar so now, according to this logic, what it really means is there should be no level of accessory overlap between men and women. So the Gemara says, is that true? Esvei Abaye, this is fascinating. Hamotzi tefillin, if one finds tefillin out in the field. So we'll say, so remember again, and now here's the issue. The issue is you find rashes in the shuk or on the pathway. Now you find the pair of tefillin lying on the ground. There's no eruv. So now I don't want to chas v'shalom leave tefillin out in the middle of nowhere. So what do I do with this? So the Gemara said, Machnisen zug zug, echad ha'ish ve'echad ha'isha. So what I do? I'll say, very simple, I put them on. I put on the tefillin. I go ahead, Machnisen Rashi says, Li'ir derech malbush. I put on the tefillin, and let's say if I've found multiple pairs, then what I could do is I could keep going back, putting it on, wearing it in. Putting it on, wearing it in. This is the way you would transport tefillin potentially on Shabbos. And yet, what this was saying, dramatic Gemara, echad ha'ish ve'echad ha'isha. A man could do this and a woman could do this. What do you see from here? Vi'i amrit nashim am bifnei atzmon hein. And if you want to say women are a nation unto themselves, which means that women's accessories and men's accessories are not interchangeable, then ultimately again, Vaha mitzvahs aseh shazman gramahu, v'chol mitzvahs aseh shazman gramahu nashim b'turos. We'll say at the end of the day, tefillin is a time-bound mitzvah, and women are exempt. If women are exempt, then lamaisa, tefillin should not be a malbush for them. We'll say, remember again, the entire heter over here, I'm walking on Shabbos. I see tefillin lying on the ground. There's no eruv, so I can't pick them up and transport them, right? Because again, even if tefillin are technically muktzah, if they're sitting on the road in a disrespectful state, I'd be able to pick it up, but there's no eruv. So what do? No problem. I put them on and I wear them in. Why could I do that? Because we already saw 2 days ago, tefillin is considered to be a malbush. tefillin is considered to be an article of clothing, but it's only an article of clothing if it's your mitzvah. But if women are exempt from the mitzvah, then why is it? Then it's not a malbush for them. If it's not a malbush, if it's not an article of clothing, then how are they permitted to wear it in? The act of wearing for a woman should be an act of hotzah. To which the Gemara says, Asam kasar Rabbi Meir, Laila zman tefillinu, Shabbos zman tefillinu, haveli mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama, v'chol mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama nashim chayavos. So we'll say a dramatic answer. The Gemara is according to Rabbi Meir, in fact, tefillin is not a time-bound mitzvah, because Rabbi Meir holds that you're allowed to wear tefillin at night, you're allowed to wear tefillin on Shabbos. Therefore, it is not a time-bound mitzvah, and because it's not a time-bound mitzvah, therefore, what? Women are chayavos, which I will say is very dramatic, because what it tells us is that there is a shita that says that women are chayavos. Now, also remember again, obviously, even when mitzvah say shazman grama, remember that's a p'tur, that's an exemption. So there's an incredible amount of halachic literature about this concept of a p'tur. Is a p'tur like a forced p'tur, or Moshe Paskins, that it's not the pshat that a woman is patur, but she could do it. It's a forced p'tur. Again, he explains what that means. Others explain it differently. I'm just pointing out that there's a sheet of Rabbi Meir who seems to indicate, fascinatingly enough, that it's not a mitzvah, it's not a time-bound mitzvah at all. And if it's not a time-bound mitzvah at all, then halacha l'maisa, women would be chayavos according to the view of Rabbi Meir, which is actually quite dramatic. To which the Gemara says, I v'ha'otzah kila achar yati. But in general, the Gemara says, I don't understand. Look at Rashi. V'ha'otzah kila achar yatu. It's almost right across. So amas nisin koi v'hotzah tabash shemotzia derech malbush be'etzba v'zeh she'no tachshit la amay chayav chadus. So now let's go back to the Mishnah for just a moment. So the Mishnah said that if a woman wears a ring that has a seal on it, then ultimately again she is chayiv a chatas. That is an isur da'oraisa. But the Gemara says, why would it be an isur da'oraisa? At the end of the day, it is hotzah kila achar yad. We'll say, in general, you're chayiv for hotzah. How? If you pick up an item, hold it in your hand, and walk dalat amos and Rosh Hashanah, or walk from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. What's happening in this case? In this case over here, halacha l'maisa, she's putting it on her finger. She's putting it on her finger. So isn't that considered to be kind of like hotzah kila achar yad, meaning that's called carrying with a shinui? Or, meaning she's not carrying it directly in her hand, she's wearing it on her finger. That, by definition, should remove the prohibition from an Isser D'Oraisa to an Isser D'Rabbanan. Rabbi Yirmiyah, who we're talking about, Bi'isha Gizbaras Askinan. We're talking about a woman, an Isha Gizbaras. So we'll say Isha Gizbaras means she's a woman who has a position of authority, and therefore she's often going ahead and sending out and stamping letters. So because it is normal for her to wear this type of ring, the act of wearing it on Shabbos is not considered to be an act of carrying it kila achar yad with a shinoi. But yet, interestingly enough, nevertheless, even though she normally might wear this kind of ring during the day for her work, it is not considered to be a tachshit. It is not considered to be an accessory, and therefore if she were to wear it on Shabbos, it would still be an act of carrying. But it's not called hotzah kila achar yad, a mishunadika form of carrying when she puts it on her finger. Why? Because she normally wears this type of ring during the week. So the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Taratz Isha, Ish ma'ika l'meimar. So that explains a woman. But a man, I don't understand, why should he be chayiv v'chatos if at the end of the day he goes in and wears a ring without a seal? After all, again, is that not carrying kila achar yad with a shinui? To which the Gemara says, Elam Rava, Pamim shadam nosin l'ishtot tabash yesh alachosim l'olicha l'kufsa umanichta biyada ad shemagas l'kufsa. Because we'll say sometimes it's common where if a man asks his wife, can you please put down my ring for me? Put down my ring. So what will she do? She'll put it on her finger. Right? So say, can you do me a favor? When you're going upstairs, can you put this on the dresser for me? So she'll say no problem, but she'll take it, but she won't carry it in her hand. She'll put it on her finger just because it's an easier way to transport a ring. And similarly, and sometimes a woman will give her husband a ring without a seal on it because she says, can you do me a favor? My ring has to be fixed. Can you take it to the craftsman? And the husband, and the husband will of course do it, and he'll actually put the ring on his finger until he gets to the uman. So what does the Gemara say about say? So this is quite fascinating. So the Gemara is saying that really halacha l'maisa, for a woman, an accessory is only a ring without a seal. for a man, an accessory is only a ring with a seal. But sometimes a man will wear a ring without a seal. When his wife asks him to go ahead and take her ring to the uman, he'll put it on his finger because it's the easiest way of taking the ring. A ring with a seal is not an accessory, but sometimes if she's taking it somewhere for her husband, she'll put it on her finger. Therefore, again, wearing those kinds of rings on Shabbos for each a man and a woman, halacha l'maisa is not considered to be carrying kila achar yad. So, if we bring this all together, what comes out is as follows: for a woman, wearing a ring with a seal on Shabbos is an Isser D'Oraisa, because such a ring is not a tachshit at all. It's not considered to be an accessory for her, and if she wears it out, that is an act of carrying, which for inadvertent transgression carries a penalty of chatos. For a woman, a ring without a seal ultimately again is an accessory, is a tachshit, but yet midirabanan, we don't want her to wear it. Why? Because she may come to take it off and show it to her friend in Rosh Hashanah and end up carrying it. For a man, a ring with a seal is a tachshit, but midrabanan, we don't want him to wear it. Again, lest he take it off and show it to his friend on Shabbos. And a ring without a seal for a man will ultimately, again, not be a tachshit. It's not an accessory, and therefore, if he wears it on Shabbos, it is an Isser D'Oraisa. Good. Let's go back to V'lo b'kuliyar v'lo b'kovelas. So a woman can't go out with a kuliyar kovelas. The Gemara says, my kuliyar. What's a kuliyar? Amarava, mikavanta. So we'll say, what's a mikavanta? If you look at Rashi's mikavanta, nushka ashim shemichabenes v'kosheres miftechei acholuk. So we'll say this was like a pin or a brooch that she would wear to keep her blouse together. So this is something Rashi defines it as something that you would use to close up your shirt. So it's a pin or a brooch, a brooch of some sort. So kovelas, what about a kovelas? Amarav chomarta de pilon. A kovelas ultimately again, Rashi says chomarta de pilon, kesha shekasher or sam sheshmo pilon verecha arev. So we'll say this would be like a little like receptacle or a spice pouch. A spice pouch that she would wear around her neck. Now both say, why would a woman wear this? So Rashi points out, V'isha sharicha ra to'anas aleha. So a woman who had body odor would often wear this spice pouch as a way of masking body odor. So therefore, I'm going to say, so one more time. So the koliyar is like the pin, right? Is the pin or the brooch to go ahead and keep her shirt together, to pin her shirt together. And the kovelas ultimately again is the spice pouch. So the Gemara says, V'chin amravasi chomarta de pilon. Tanabana, lo seitzi b'kovelas, woman should not go out on Shabbos with a spice pouch. V'im yatzasa chayeves chatas tivra b'meir. Rabbi Meir says if she went out on Shabbos with a spice pouch, ultimately again she's chayeves chatos, i.e. it's an Isser D'Oraisa. The rest of the Gemara says that's those Rabbi Meir. The Chachamim say lo seitze, she shouldn't go out. V'im yatzasa petura. But if she did go out, ultimately again she is pater. So pater means it's aser midaraisa. Aser midaraisa. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Eliezer Omer yotze isha bekavalas lechatchila. And Rabbi Eliezer says women could go out with the pilon lechatchila. So we'll say with the kavalas. So we'll say it's the three machlokes. Could a woman go out with the spice pouch on Shabbos? Three-way machlokes. Rabbi Meir says aser midaraisa. Chacham say aser midrabanan. And ultimately, Rabbi Eliezer is saying mutter lechatchila. Okay, so it might come if what are they arguing about? Rabbi Meir Saramaser, Meir holds that a spice pouch is a burden. It's a burden. It's a masui. Therefore, halacha l'maisa, you cannot wear it out on Shabbos. V'rabanan savar tachshetu v'dilmo shalfa umachvi. V'asilasur say no. It is a tachshet. It is an accessory. But our concern is that she's going to take it off in the Rosh Hashanah to show it to her friend, and she's going to end up carrying it dalit amis in Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Eliezer Savar, man darka lemirme, who wears the spice pouch? Who wears the kovelas? So the Gemara says, Isha sharecha ra, a woman who has body odor. So the Isha sharecha ra lo shalfo machvi for lo asilasi arba amis Rosh Hashanah. So this is very simple. A woman who wears a spice pouch is a woman who has body odor. If someone is wearing a spice pouch to mask body odor, the one thing they're not going to do is what? Take it off. So because they're not going to take it off, therefore there's no concern that she's going to take it off and show her friend in Rosh Hashanah. I have Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer Poter Bikoveles, Ubitzlucha Shel Plaiton. But we have another price that says Rabbi Eliezer says that you're exempt. Now, both say Poter always means Poter Aval Asr. It means it's Poter, but it is Asr Midrabanan. So according to the Bryce, it indicates that Rabbi Eliezer holds that wearing the spice pouch is still Asr Midrabanan. Yet here we just said that he said it's Mutter L'Chatchila, Lo Kashya, Kikai Ad Rabbi Meir, Ha Kikai Drabanan. But say everything depends on who Rabbi Eliezer is talking to. Watch this. Kikai Ad Rabbi Meir Damar Chayiv Chatos, Amar Le Poter. So when Rabbi Meir is talking to, when Rabbi Meir is talking to Rabbi Meir who says that it's Asr Midaraisa, he'll say that it's mutter. He'll say that it's pater. He'll say that it's mutter Midarabanan. When he's talking to the Rabbanon who say that pater Aval Asr is mutter Midarabanan, he'll say it's mutter Lechatchila. Good. Amud Beis will say. So those are the three shitos. Ultimately, again, when it comes to spice pouches. So we have, again, Rabbi Meir who says it's Asr Midoraisa because it's a burden. The Rabbanon who say that it's Asr Midirabanan because although it is a tachshit, we are concerned that she's going to take off the spice pouch and inadvertently carry it daladamas in Shusarabim. And Rabbi Eliezer who says that it's mutter lechatchila. Why? Because the reason you wear a spice pouch is because of body odor. And because of body odor, a woman is not going to take it off to show her friend because she doesn't want to lose the ability to mask the body odor. Umay Rabbi Meir, both say, where do we find this position of Rabbi Meir? Here we go. Desanya. Lo seitze isha b'mafteach shabiyada. A woman should not go out on Shabbos with a mafteach, a key in her hand. Vim yatsa chayeves chatos. And ultimately, again, if she does so, she's chayev chatos. Div Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Eliezer Poter. Bikoveles ubitzluches shel plaiton. So Rabbi Eliezer says that you're exempt if you go out with a koveles, or most remember again, koveles is a spice pouch, as we said before, or with a flask of balsam oil. The Gemara says, koveles man de kashma. I don't understand. We're talking about a key. Where did we come up? Ultimately, come to spice pouch. The Gemara says, chisrim exavachi katani. We'll say this is the Bryce was missing a piece, and here's how you have to read it. V'chein bikoveles. So too, again, about the same way Rabbi Meir says that ultimately, again, you can't go out with a key. So too, again, according to Rabbi Meir, you can't go out with the koveles, with the spice pouch, and you can't go out with the flask of balsam oil. The Gemara says, "V'lo yatsa chayeves chatos to Rabbi Meir." So we'll say Rabbi Meir holds that halacha l'maisa, a key, a spice pouch, a flask of balsam oil. All of these things are considered to be a burden. They're not considered to be accessories, and therefore halacha l'maisa, if you go out with it on Shabbos, it is asr midaraisa. The Rabbi Eliezer Poter, Rabbi Eliezer says that your poter bekavelas ubitzlucha shel plaiton. So once Rabbi Eliezer says that halacha l'maisa, it's only asr midrabanan with the spice pouch and with the flask of balsam oil. I medra morim. When is that so? Kishiyesh vahem bosem. That's only ultimately when the spice pouch and when the flask ultimately again has actually some spices in it. Look at Rashi. Rashi says top right second line on the top from the top in Rashi. Kishiyesh vahem bosem plaiton. The Yeshba hu chomarta ha'asuya kekamia to give the Yeshba bosem tachshitu lezu sherechara lemishal v'asuya. Supposed to say, so when can you wear out the spice pouch and when can you wear out the flask? Only if there's mamish something inside of it, right? The pouch by itself is not a tachshit, right? And the flask by itself is not a tachshit. Only when there's something inside of the pouch or something inside of the flask that you could wear it out on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, but even Rabbi Eliezer would agree that halacha l'maisa, if there are no spices in the pouch, or there's no balsam oil in the flask, that will be considered a masui, that will be considered a burden, and if you wear it out on Shabbos, you'll be chayiv v'chatos. So we'll say we learned something very interesting over here. Hamotzi ochlim, pachos mikashir bekli chayiv. So you learn something very interesting, which is, in general, we saw this before, that for example, if you're carrying food, in order to be chayiv for hotzah on food, you have to carry a certain amount of food. Right? If you carry less than a certain amount of food, then halacha l'maisa, you're pater for the act of hotzah. So you see from something very interesting. What happens if you're carrying a kliya utensil, and in the utensil is less than the requisite shear of food? So from here you see, Hamotzi ochlin pachos mikashir bekli. that if you carry in a utensil food, but the food doesn't have the shear, that you're chayiv. Why are you chayiv? You're chayiv for the kli. In other words, we don't see that the kli is bottled to the food. Daha ein bosem pachos mikashir bekli dami. Yet about because what we have? Daha ein babosem kepachos mikashir. Because you see from here that halacha lamaisa that if you don't have any spices in the pouch or in the flask, that is pachos mikashir. And yet what? Ultimately, again, the chayeves, and yet you're chayiv for carrying the kli. Ravashi says in general that's not the case. In general, Ravashi will say it's quite possible that if you're carrying a kli and inside of it is food less than the requisite shear for chiyuv, that halacha l'maisa you'll actually be pater because the kli is bottled to the food. So why in this case over here, if you carry the spice pouch without the spices or the flask without the balsam oil, that's your chayiv. The shiny hacha the lessei lemamosha klal. Both say there's a difference between carrying in a utensil food that's pachos mikashir and carrying a utensil absolutely nothing. When you're carrying pachos mikashir, again, we'll see this sugya, it's possible that even though you don't have enough food by itself, ultimately to generate the chiyuv, and therefore again, the kli will be bottled to the food. And just like you're not chay for the food, you're not chay for the kli. But where there's nothing in the kli, like in this case, if there's no balsam, there's no spices, then in achinami you would be chayiv for carrying the kli itself. So we'll say now we're going to get into some beautiful agarata. I meant to put this out last night. Right, some beautiful agarata today, tomorrow a little bit on Shabbos. Also beautiful agarata. I mean, you'll see it's actually tragic agarata, but it's very moving. Vereishes shmanim nimshachu. So we'll say over here now the Gemara quotes the pasuk from Amos. Literally again, he'll be drawn after the first oils. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel zu plaiton. This refers to balsam oil. Balsam oil, Masir Rav Yosef. Af al plaiton gaz Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava v'lo hodulo. In the aftermath of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava wanted to go ahead and be gozri, wanted to legislate that people shouldn't use balsam oil as a form, ultimately, again, of mourning for the Beis Hamikdash. But they did not accept Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava's suggestion. The Amrit Mishum Tainug Amailo. And if he said that balsam oil, again, provides so much pleasure, then indeed, why would we not legislate against its use after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash? To Amayla Hodulo, Amayla Tamech Hadichsiv, Hashosiv Mizrikei Yayin, those who drink out of the bowls of wine. What are these bowls of wine? Rabbi Asi, Chad Amar Kinashkinin, the Chad Amar Shemizarkin Kososein Zelozeh. One says that this refers to Kinashkinin. So we'll say, what are Kinashkinin? If you look at Rashi, it's Rashi Divrei Hamaschil Ula Ta'amei Chadichsiv V'hai Inyana Hashosel Mizrikayayin Rabbi Asi Pershu Zeo Kinashkinin Kliz Chuchis Aruch V'lo Shnei Pios V'yayin Nizrak Mizelazeh. So it's very interesting. So this was a large wine goblet that two people could drink from. A large wine goblet that two people could drink from simultaneously, right? Or others say, what is Mizrikei Yayin? Shemazak and Rashi says, Al Yidei Umnos Kidar Be'achalil B'tal B'tanei Kaski. Or others here both say the Mizrikei Yayin refers to people who used to have a skill, a very interesting skill set. They could throw glasses of wine without any wine spilling. Very impressive. So we'll say, so ultimately, again, the Gemara says, Hachenami da'aser, these things should also be aser. In other words, we'll say, if we're talking about going ahead and legislating against certain things in the aftermath of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, why not outlaw this two-person wine glass, or why not outlaw the practice of throwing the wine glasses, both of which generated much joy? Yet Rabbi Barafuna went to the house of Reish Kalusa, and he drank out of this two-person wine glass, and he didn't say anything. So again, he had Rabbi Barafuna seeing this practice of drinking from the kinishkin in the two-person wine glass in the house of Reish Kalusa, and yet he didn't say anything. So this is incredible. Anything that has both tanug and simcha. Tanug means pleasure, simcha means joy. So in other words, we'll say anything. So what's the difference? So tanug means something that generates personal pleasure. It's personally pleasurable to me. Simcha means it creates an atmosphere of joy as well. So anything that generates both tanug and simcha, gazur rabbanon. That's where the rabbi stepped in and legislated against these practices in the aftermath of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash as a display of mourning. However, Valmidi the Isbei Tanug, Valesbei Simcha, but saying that only has personal enjoyment, but doesn't generate a general atmosphere of Simcha, Lo Gaz Rabbanan. So this is actually quite fascinating. We're going to see more of this, but this is really a very interesting definition, that apparently in the aftermath of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, the rabbis, we know, this is Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, right? So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was one who legislated these two different types of halachas, Zecher leChurban and Zecher leMikdash, two different types of practices, which we'll talk about. But apparently the only things they legislated were against things that are both Tanug and Simcha. Tanug provide personal pleasure and generate an atmosphere of Simcha. That's usher in the absence of the Beis Hamikdash. So the Gemara goes on, Hashochim al mitos shein usruchim al arsosam. So the Gemara quotes the pasuk from Amos. Literally, they lay down on their beds of ivory and stretch out on their couches. So the Gemara says, Rav Yosef, Rabbi Chanina, what is this? Now remember, these psukim in Amos are a rebuke to Klal Yisrael. So Amos is rebuking the people. You people who sleep on beds of ivory and stretch out on your couches. Okay, what's the rebuke? What's very interesting. Rav Yosef, Rabbi Chanina, melamed she'mashtinin mayim ifnei mitosein arum. It teaches us that the people would urinate naked in front of their beds. That was the great rebuke. Okay, so the Gemara says, Megadef, so the Gemara says, Megadef Rabbi Avo, Ihachi Hainu Dichsev, Lachin Ata Yiglu Barosh Golem, Mishum de Mishtanamim Beflim Mitosen Arum Yiglu Barosh Golem. So we'll say, I don't understand. Because people urinate naked in front of their beds, that's why they're going to be exiled. In other words, that was the great sin of Klal Yisrael. Now we'll say, now remember again, as opposed to what? As opposed to getting dressed and going out to the outhouse to relieve oneself, they would wake up, right, they would be unclothed and they would relieve themselves in front of their bed. So I understand if you want to tell me that's maybe like a breach of modesty, but the idea that this is the reason why Klal Yisrael is going to be exiled, so we'll say, here we go. The Gemara says, Ella Amra Bi'avon, no. Rather, Rabbi say, this was a different rebuke. When Amos says, you sleep on your beds of ivory, usruchem al arsos, and you stretch out, here was the musr. We'll say, Amos was giving them musr, but again, he was too embarrassed to speak about what they were really doing. What were they doing? Ela b'nei Adam. This refers to groups of people she'ochlim v'shosim zeh who would eat and drink with each other. V'dovkin mitosei zubazu, and then they would move their couches next to each other. Umachlifin nishoseim ze'im zeh, and they would trade wives with one another. So Amos is referring to the incredible immorality that was happening. Here people would eat together, drink together, and again, engage in acts of immorality with each other's spouses. And they would sully, they would dirty their couches with semen that was not theirs. So both say, so again, that's why it says suruchim, which normally translates as stretch out. But sarach also means to make disgusting. So Amos was decrying the terrible immorality of the people. So the Gemara says, so we'll say, so now again, so therefore it turns out that in fact what Amos was alluding to was immorality. You people are so immoral, and therefore as a result, the Beis Hamikdash, right? Therefore, as a result, you're going to be led out to exile. But also, by now that we mentioned the urinating in front of the bed naked, so the Gemara kind of builds on that a little bit. So, Amr Avova, Amr Levi Masnisa, Tana, Gimel Dvarim Mevinas Adam L'Dianias. Supposed to be really quite fascinating. There are three things that bring a person to poverty. Eluhein, Hamash Te'mayim B'fnei Mitaso Arum, if you urinate in front of your bed naked, Umizalzel B'netilas Yadayim, and ultimately, or you don't take washing seriously. Mizalzel means literally you degrade the practice of hand washing. V'she'ishto mekalalaso b'fanav, or one whose wife curses at him in front of him. These are three things that bring a person to poverty. Let's analyze. Hamashtin ma'im ifnei mitasa aram. What does it mean that if you urinate in front of your bed naked, that you're going to become poor? So Amarava, first of all, let's define this. Lo amran ela de mahadra peleporia. That's only if you urinate in the direction of your bed. But if your back is to your bed, then it's not so bad. The Gemara says, and similarly again, to urinate in the direction of your bed, that's also not so bad. Lo amran ella la'ara, if you're urinating on the ground. But if you're urinating like into a bedpan, that's not a problem. Both say, just to understand, what does this mean? What does this mean? That if a person urinates in front of their bed, that ultimately, again, it leads to anius, it leads to poverty. He will say, I think it's a very simple pshat. What does it mean if a person is urinating right in front of their bed? We'll say what that means is you have a fundamental lack of respect. A lack of respect, ultimately, again, for your items, right? For your possessions, right? The idea ultimately is that halacha l'maisa, Shabbos Daf goes back to Yaakov Avinu, right? Remember again when Yaakov, the Gemara says, "Vayivasar Yaakov was left alone." So remember, what does Rashi say? Shachach pachim kitanim. He forgot his small jugs and he went back for them. So we'll say everything we have in this world is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from your most expensive possession to the smallest thing. A person who's urinating in front of his bed, right? So we'll say, so first of all, that means you're urinating in your house, on the floor, right by where you sleep. What a fundamental disrespect to your home. And what a fundamental disrespect to your possessions. And what a fundamental disrespect, because remember again, especially if you're urinating in the direction of your bed, there could be urine droplets that get onto your bed. What a fundamental disrespect for your possessions. And if you fundamentally disrespect your possessions, that means you don't recognize that they come from God. If you don't recognize that they come from God, who says, if you don't appreciate it, I'm taking about to both say this is an incredibly important yesod, which is how we treat our material items. This is we'll say this goes to the idea of bal tashchis, not throwing out food, treating things. We have to treat our possessions with respect to, we'll say, when we teach our children to pick up their stuff. Why do we teach them to pick up their stuff? To go ahead and have a clean room? Why is that we should maintain clean homes? Why is that we should put our own stuff away? But say, okay, yes, cleanliness is a midah, but it's also when you put your clothing away, when you put your toys away, you're demonstrating a respect for your materialism. I respect this object. Why do I respect the object? Because God gave it to me. It's a gift from God. And if it's a gift from God, it has to be treated with a profound respect. It's such an important yesod about treating our materialism with respect, not because materialism is the most important thing, but because every material thing I have is a gift from Hashem. And if it's a gift from Hashem, it must be treated with kavod. And if I don't treat it with kavod, Kadosh Baruch Hu is fine. You don't want to treat what I give you with kavod? No problem, I'll take it back. That's what it means that a person who urinates in front of his bed, and now we see it's towards his bed without a bedpan, he's fundamentally disregarding his home, he's fundamentally disrespecting his bed, and Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you demonstrate that level of disrespect for material items, I'll take them back. Right, so we'll have to stop over here. We're going to pick up. We are in Meretz Hashem going to begin Shir tomorrow morning at 5:45 a.m. There's a lot to do tomorrow. Beautiful, beautiful Gemara tomorrow. Also, some more Agarata, more beautiful Gemara. So we'll pick up here 5:45 tomorrow morning. Shkoyach, everyone.